Go ahead.
A lot of times in failure and recovery, it helps to know who your neighbors are and make sure that they haven't changed and they still have the same RP set and so on and so forth. So, and we are deployed and we use it. So.
No, I mean, I have no argument for that. I concur because I said for all the features that do require certain hello options to be present, yes, for those messages, they should not be processed before from a non-neighbor. But for messages like just a simple join, like .com join, where from someone that doesn't send up hello, I don't really see anything breaks. But I guess, we keep repeating ourselves.
Well,
so maybe
you pretty much got to go back to override delays of 30 seconds and things like that until you figure out what's going on. I mean,
I don't know.
It gets really horrible.
Can I just do a poll on implementations who do and do not do this?
So you're saying that there are implementations that don't send hello messages at all on point-to-point links?
Yes, there are implementations that don't send hello on point-to-point links.
So it seems like what we need is an implementation warning that you should do this, but
right.
You might provide a knob to turn it off. It should default to being on.
Well, at the same time as not accepting PIM join prudence asserts and so on, you should also not send any,
That's also
obviously
correct.
towards that particular upstream.
Right. Don't send any to someone that you haven't heard a hello from.
On point-to-point links, we actually don't send anything unless we have some kind of adjacency there. So it saves on, massive bootstrap packets and so on going over slow links.
So there should be a knob to turn to permit this, and it must default to off or
Correct.
to on or whichever.
You must default to dropping these messages.
Yes, but there should be a knob to allow accepting them.
Because there are broken implementations out there.
Yeah. Is that okay? Saying in the spec that there should be a knob to allow accepting such messages, but it must default to not accepting them. So if you know you have a broken neighbor, then you turn it on.
Yeah, that would permit interoperation, but default to doing the right thing.
Yeah, I'm okay with that.
Okay.
Good.
So the next one was just a clarification. What the current and previous drafts say, this is in respect to the assert StarG state machine. And the idea here is that if the SG state machine is going to deal with it, the SG state machine should deal with it and StarG state machine should not deal with it. So the wording basically says it's important to note that no transition occurs in the StarG assert state machine as a result of receiving an assert message if the SG assert state machine for the relevant SNG is not in the no info state. Well, that's true but not sufficient. The issue is that, of course, an assert message can move the SG state machine from no info to some other state, and in that case you also don't process it in the StarG state machine. So we need to clarify that language. The other assert thing is that if the assert winner's gen ID changes, you should drop the assert state, and we don't have that transition in the spec at the moment. That needs fixing. Minor stuff. IPv6 BSR spec needs to be fixed for IPv6 because there's some stuff in there that assumes 32-bit addresses. It's trivially fixed, but needs doing. There was, our to-do list was that we should probably state that implementations to provide a knob to allow you to limit the number of neighbors. Otherwise, it's possible to do denial of service attacks on routers if you're a host on a LAN by exchanging many hello messages from spoofed addresses and wire up loads of state in the router.
Shouldn't that just be a PIM authentication issue? You should send authenticated hellos, and then this isn't an issue.
That would solve that issue, but it's usually a good idea to have something. The question is whether people are actually doing authenticated hellos. I mean, in principle, yes, but in practice, I don't see many people doing it. So all I'm doing here is going through the stuff that was on our to-do list. We might choose not to do that, I guess.
The point is there's enough things that PIM authentication fixes that we don't really want to give people workarounds. We really want them to do PIM authentication.
That's a good point. Okay, we should probably drop that one. We, in a number of places in the spec, use the word point-to-point, where we really mean it has one PIM neighbor. We want to make sure we fix that in all cases where that's actually relevant. So that's everything. So the stuff that's left to fix is mostly minor. We've resolved all of the open issues that I know of today, and most of them don't involve any changes, which is even better. We definitely need one more revision to fix these things that are on the to-do list, which I just went through. Optimistically, we might be able to do last call in March. Pessimistically, the security considerations section is probably not as mature as we would like it to be, and really would like input on that. None of the authors of this spec are real security gurus, so we want some feedback. The BSR spec hasn't had the same kind of careful proofreading as the main PIM spec, or more strictly speaking, Pathfinder has done the same proofreading on it, but I didn't get a chance to integrate his comments. So that needs to be gone through with the same fine-tooth comb as the main PIM spec, but hopefully we can do that in the same timescale. So I hope that we might actually be able to finish this thing. It's got big. The PostScript version's 102 pages now, which is very scary. But anyway, I think we're nearly there. Anybody else have any other things that they think that we've missed? Because if it's not on this to-do list or open issues, it's not on our radar.
This is not specifically for, maybe for the to-do list. I just want to ask a question maybe for the implementers that when you choose a PIM assert metric at a DMZ where all the PIM routers are directly connected routers running eBGP, so what is the suggested metric that gets put in there? Because we've seen people putting different numbers that are just not comparable when there is an assert. I think we should probably add some more word into the PIM spec to address that issue.
Okay, can you, are you interested in trying to contribute some text?
Well, first I would like to know what other implementations do. Yes, sure, I can help. Tom? Sorry? Okay.
Okay, so we'll add that to the to-do list as well. I hope somebody's taking notes. Anything else that's not currently on our list that you think needs addressing? No? Good. Okay, next.